Hi guys, welcome to Heart to Talk to podcast. I'm your host, Teresa Caesar, and you are tuned into episode 15. Thank you so much for joining. Living creatively. When you are in touch with the energy of your origin, you offer the world your authentic intelligence, talents, and behaviors. Listen to your inner callings. Ignore how others might want to direct your life, and allow yourself to radiate with what you feel so deeply and profoundly within yourself. You are what you came from, and where you came from is this all-encompassing, endlessly creative Divine Mother, the mysterious feminine of the Tao. These are the words of Wayne Dyer, spiritual author who wrote Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. This book is one of the most important books I have ever read. Wayne Dyer basically interprets the Tao Te Ching, which means living the great way. It is an ancient book of wisdom. It has 81 verses in it. It actually has been translated more than any book in the world next to the Holy Bible. And although it is 3,000 years old, it has 21st century advice, basically timeless wisdom. And wisdom is something that I'm extremely passionate about seeking and sharing. Once again, this book is one of the most important books I've ever read. I continue to read it over and over. It's changed my life. And it really just helps you reprogram your thoughts and how you see the world, your perspective, because that's really all you can control. You cannot control what's outside of you, but rather what's inside. This brings me to today's guest, Nicole Kaylene. She is a spiritual life coach who empowers women with the tools necessary to instill confidence and realize their dreams and love themselves. Nicole will share with us the backstory, the people and the experiences that led her to shift her mindset, evolve, love herself again, and find consistency. I bring to you my conversation with the spiritual life coach and heart-centered entrepreneur.
I am a spiritual life coach, so I really help women find that confidence and self-love and come back to their true self. So with my work, there's a lot of deep diving. We're, looking into what kind of paradigms, fears, blockages that are coming up in maybe specific areas of your life that you're looking to move through and transform and heal. So there's that aspect of it. But then there's another aspect of wanting to really help women just embody who they truly fully are and step into that confidence to kick ass and succeed at whatever it is that, they're wanting to do in life. And I went into this work really to obviously help women and serve others, but I just felt that I've been through so many different obstacles and challenges and gone through my own inner healing really with self-love and finding myself again, that once I, was really into the work and seeing all of these amazing changes in my growth in my life, that's when I was like, I have to share this with other people. I have to help other women realize that, they don't have to stay in certain situations, jobs, relationships, things that aren't fulfilling, that aren't making them happy, right? There's so much more to life. And so really that's kind of like just the basis.
I love what you do on so many levels. You're really infamous for having these amazing new moon rituals. Is that something that you always do? Yeah. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I just started doing that in December. It was the first one that I decided to host. In the past, I would attend these new moon or full moon little ceremonies that somebody that I knew was putting on. She was also like a Reiki healer and whatnot. So that was kind of my first experience maybe 2 years ago doing something like that. And I just felt really called. I was like in meditation. I was thinking about like, how else can I help people? What has helped me? And I just thought it would be so fun to do a new moon ritual and teach people how we can really set intentions and goals. Because I think a lot of people get really overwhelmed and they think like, where do I start? or they think of a goal and they think that means something that's so far down the line and far fetched, but really we can kind of create these like smaller steps and smaller goals and make them measurable and achievable. So that's a really great place to start, is by setting like even weekly or monthly goals, right? And so the whole purpose of a new moon is to really be able to set new intentions, set new goals, and then also let go of what is no longer serving you. So you have that chance to reflect from the month prior and really kind of look at, what worked for me, maybe what didn't work, and what do I want to let go of. And so it's really just like this simple practice that you can make it however you want. But I like to make it kind of like fun, and we do visualizations and meditations, affirmations, kind of whatever I really feel called to bring into that space. It's a little bit of a learning experience too. So people who have never experienced a new moon ritual, I really like to share more about that specific new moon that month, and then how it's kind of fun to set up your own space to practice all of that.
That sounds so cool. And I like that you said it's a practice, because all of this is, you experience it, but you do have to keep working at it. Do you have anything like you recommend in regards to the things that you work with people on and how to level up and connect to their inner selves?
That's a great question. So what I've found in my own practice and what I've really tried to help other people with is to develop a morning practice and then try to stay consistent with that, right? A lot of it is like what you said, a practice, right? And it's that consistency. And so continuing to show up, right? Continuing, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not the same thing, but keep continuing to practice. And we all fall off the bandwagon. Nothing's perfect, right? Like there's going to be mornings where, it might be harder than others, but I really think that that's one of the biggest things that's really helped me. Also meditation. And that doesn't always have to be in the morning. If somebody doesn't feel called to do that in the morning, you could do it on a lunch break. You could do it when you're feeling stressed out. You can do it in the evenings. So it's really just, whenever you feel like, practicing and whatever works for you with your schedule. And then another thing would definitely be gratitude. And all about gratitude, and you teach a lot on that too. Even doing journal entries with gratitude. So writing out every day or maybe every week, whatever feels good to you, writing out what you're grateful for, even if it's the smallest of things.
I love that you mentioned that too. The gratitude is so important. I feel like that's what's changed my life. And like you said, sometimes you fall off the bandwagon because you're feeling off. Like it's outside circumstances, different things that throw you off, and you feel like, why am I not aligned? But you don't judge yourself, and just giving yourself that grace.
Yeah, I definitely have those days too. And I'm not going to lie, some days there are where I don't do my practice, right? But I'll tell you what, I feel even more off when I don't do it. So sometimes it is giving yourself that grace, giving yourself that rest or whatever it is you need to process what you're going through and your feelings, right? Because that's the other thing too. We want to acknowledge how we're feeling. We don't want to ignore it. We don't want to shove it to the side. We don't want to pretend it's not there. We want to be able to really feel our feelings and let ourselves move through something, right? But I will say, if you can get yourself to do even like a 5-minute meditation, or just, repeat some affirmations. That's another thing I really love to do, actually. Something that's so simple that people can do is right when you wake up in the morning. If you don't feel, called to meditate or do 15 to 20 minutes, you can literally repeat affirmations to yourself. Like I'll lay in bed and I'll be like, I am safe. I am beautiful. I am supported. I am worthy. Those small affirmations can really make such a huge difference.
I think that's so important too, because what you do right in the morning can set the tone of your day. And then really your days turn into the weeks and then the months. And I love that you mentioned affirmations, because it's simple and it's direct. And then you have the ability to like program yourself when you say the affirmation, like feel it, think it to believe it, right? So I just love all that you do. I'm honored to know you, and we get to collaborate on Captivate. We've done some other business adventures together.
Yeah.
I got to know you in person, and you have a story like we all do. And I think it's beautiful. Can you tell us your backstory? Like, how did you become the Nicole you are today? All the obstacles, family life, all the things that contributed to who you are today and how you're showing up and serving the world.
I'm from Washington State. So I was living in my hometown, and I was like, I'm such a traveler and spontaneous and adventure. And I've always seeked traveling. Like for my college graduation gift to myself, I went to Europe and traveled to Ireland and Spain by myself on a backpacking trip, stayed in hostels. So that was like the beginning of my like kind of
Wow.
finding
You
myself,
are
right?
so brave. That's like what everybody wants to do. And you did it. Like, I wish I could have done that. That was like a dream
I
of mine, but I
I
love
mean, I
that.
invited people, nobody wanted to go. My parents were like, "You're crazy."
Wow. That's
So
pretty
I was like,
cool. Yeah.
"Oh, thank you." Great experience. A little overwhelming, not gonna lie. Like I was 23 and went to
Oh,
2
good
countries
Lord.
by myself. I don't know anyone. I'm like on the plane about to land and I'm like, what did I just do?" So really great experience. So I'm so glad I did that. And of course I met people so along the way. So that was cool. But I think that was the first, like my first really like experience of, kind of figuring out who I am and what I wanted. And so, when I came back, I was still waitressing. I waitressed like all through college and whatnot. Um, and then I was like, I need to leave a small
Yeah.
town that I grew up in and experience life in some other places. So I ended up moving to Las Vegas. I had some friends there and family members. So I ended up actually staying in the waitressing industry there and doing really well, as you can imagine, with all this
Yeah.
tourism and, there's a lot of money to be made and whatnot. But I found myself really at a point that I was so burnt out, so unhappy, working multiple jobs, stressed out, feeling like this sense again of like, okay, who am I and what I know I'm meant to be doing more than this, right? Like this is not long term what I'm meant to be doing. And at that point, actually, too, right after I moved there a few months, my dad actually passed away. And so that was like a really big, like, I mean, eye opening for me too. Like he raised me, he supported me, he was my rock. And then he was gone. It was just really tough and really, I felt I had to kind of just quickly take responsibility like for myself. I mean, obviously I was adult, but just had to figure out all of these things. And yeah, it made me feel like this sense of being alone a little bit. So I was there for a little over 4 years. And the last year and a half I was there, just, working multiple jobs, being stressed out, went through a really horrible, unhealthy relationship while I was there too. At one point for 6 to 8 months. So that was not good. But then I was introduced to an amazing community and group of people. And that's where I was coming full circle back to like the new moon ceremonies and the woman that I did a lot of healing with and reflecting. I was doing Reiki with her. And that really started to help me heal. And just to talk to her and have somebody and figure out like who I am and that I am loved. I felt like this sense of not being loved or not knowing what love is and not loving myself. And so that's really where I'd say my healing journey really began, was before I left Las Vegas. So I'm super grateful for all of that, even though there was a lot of challenges,
Yeah.
a lot of things that happened in my 20s. I feel so, so grateful that I met those people and was able to start my healing journey there.
The contrast of like being in Vegas, when you think of that, like temptation to live this other life, I would be so pulled because I'm like, I want to have fun. The late nights, the environment. I mean, everybody knows they
Yeah.
call it Sin City. And
Yeah.
here you are. It's like you have Sin City and then you have Spiritual City. So like you were
Right.
like,
I did all that though. I did do it. I did go out. I did work all the time. I was involved in that. I'd stay, I did all of that. And then there came to a point where I was like, this is not fun anymore. This is not who I am. I'm so tired all the time. My body hates me. I made myself sick. Like my hips, I could barely walk at one point at 27. I was like in so much pain. And I believe that that kind of pain like can get stagnant and stuck in our body, right? The pain that,
100%.
yeah, like our emotions, if we don't know how to process our emotions or traumatic experiences and we don't understand how to work through these things, they will get stuck, stagnant in our body. And I really, really feel that that's what happened to me. So I started my healing journey and doing the Reiki. I worked with a body worker and somebody who was like really great at massage and helping me release like these different areas that I felt that. And it helped me so much. Then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I feel like I need more. I was ready to leave Las Vegas. I was ready to like do something else. And I didn't really know what that meant or where what was
You
next.
felt a call, like a whisper, right?
And the
Yeah.
universe was like, it's time to go. And I wasn't sure where. And so I ended up doing research. I had started listening to podcasts, reading books like personal development, learning more about things. And then I felt a calling to look up life coaches. And I hired my first life coach, and I love her. And she is my sister. I feel like I would not be where I am today if I had not met her and the thing and what she has helped me through. So I love you, Denise.
Denise, if you're
And
listening, thank you, Denise, because I love
yeah,
Nicole. You brought her into my world.
oh,
That's
she's amazing.
incredible.
And I can't, thank her enough. She's taught me so much.
And
Yeah.
then here you are coaching.
Yes. And what led me up to coaching and getting and deciding to do all this was working with her, and seeing so much change in my life, my attitude, my thoughts, thoughts become things. Oh my God, it took me so long. I swear she was like telling me stuff and like, reiterating, but being so kind to me and supportive. And I just wouldn't get things. And then I don't know, eventually continuing to show up, doing my homework, the practices, reading. That's why I was talking about consistency and, keep showing up, because it took a while, but eventually I got it. and I saw my mind and my thoughts and everything start to shift,
Wow.
and I ended up moving, and I ended up actually taking a job, more like a corporate position, but it's all a part of the process. And that was a part of my journey. And I'm so grateful for that too. And so, I continued to work with her, working my new job. Everything was, kind of falling into place and whatnot. And then I went to another, like a convention before COVID happened and stuff. And I was like, so hyped up. You know how they are if you ever been to like in
Oh yeah, those hype you up, those conventions.
yeah, and just like doing this work and seeing the transformation that I've had in my life, I was like, I know that I want to help other people. Like I have to share all of these tools and perspectives and like I say tools because these are really like things that you can really help to transform people's life. Sometimes I talk about things and like my friends are even like, well, what does that mean? People don't know. And so like just by sharing things or just authentically being myself and showing up, you never know who you're helping or who might be listening, or you know what I mean? So I'm just
It changes their lives. Absolutely.
yeah,
One
I'm
little
just
tweak.
happy to be able
Mhm.
to share things, even if I don't really know who they're directly helping, right?
Yeah. I love that. If everybody just did what they're meant to do, this is your purpose, right?
Yeah.
In shining your light, it changes the world and you uplift others along the way. And I like that you said part of your journey is this corporate world too. When you take on an entrepreneur journey, it's okay to have your 9 to 5 job, whatever that looks like.
I totally agree. I think that there's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5. I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be, right? And so it's been this amazing like opportunity for me to also have my coaching on the side and help women and be a entrepreneur while doing, this other thing. There's nothing that says you can only do one or the other, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes maybe people won't think those blend or they might have their own opinion, and that's fine, that's totally okay. But it's been a real blessing for me, and I've really like enjoyed being able to do both. And there's been times where it's also been a struggle, right? Like trying to find that balance. But and when I say balance too, balance is an interesting word because there's never going to be this perfect balance. It's more about like figuring out what works for you, setting boundaries, right? That's another like important thing
Ooh.
too. And so having a schedule during the week and being like, okay, I'm going to help clients like schedule my calls with clients only on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And that's when I'm available, right, to work with them and be able to show up fully for my clients. So sometimes it's a little bit of trial and error, but once you can kind of get into your groove and what works for you, it all comes together. It's all a blessing. So
No, that's awesome. You can change the way your experience is if you change your perspective. Everything is perspective. So if you think this is my fundraising money, you can show up happier. You're going to have a better experience in that 9 to 5. Or if it's,
yep.
I've other entrepreneurs even do Uber. So don't feel like it's a bad thing to take this side hustle when you're on this entrepreneur journey. Like you said, it doesn't have to be one or the other. And I think owning that.
I like what you said. It's all about perspective, right? And so something that came to mind after everything I've learned and being in my 9 to 5, I thought of it, okay, well, who is this really helping, or what does this really
Mhm.
mean? And you start to think like, what's the meaning behind it, right? But I really sat down and thought about it, and I'm like, no, I really am helping people. I'm literally helping people with not just to speak to my company and whatnot, but helping make people's lives easier with their work and their day to day, right? So that's helping people. That is
Yeah.
serving people. It's just a way. It's a different way of looking at it, right?
I love that, girl. Is there any message you feel like you want to share with the listeners?
Yeah, I really just want to let women know that you are love. Like you yourself are love. Your soul is love, right? So you're so loved, you're so supported. And I think it's important to remind people of that, because a lot of people struggle with feeling, and that people have told me this too. They struggle and they feel alone. They feel like, they're not loved, or maybe they don't have the confidence to change their career or get out of an unhealthy relationship. Go after their wildest dreams, right? Like there's this fear, there's these paradigms. So I guess what I'm getting at is that, if you're feeling that way, try to, even though it's hard, try to uncover that root and where that fear is coming from, right? Try to think about, when did I first ever start feeling this way? And maybe it's back when, something that happened when you're a teenager. Maybe it's something that happened as a child, or not having basic needs met, whatever it may be. But if you can kind of uncover that root of where that feeling first started, and then you can journal out those feelings and write about all of that and say that, tell your inner child that you are going to be okay and that you are loved and you are supported. There's so much power in that, so much power and healing if you can do an easy practice like that. So,
I love that you mentioned that. Is asking yourself big questions to make big moves. The deeper the questions, the better the ability of you to then move from that. That's a direction for you. But if you don't ever ask, how can you evolve? And I think
yeah,
that's incredible. Otherwise, we're not consciously moving. We're just unconscious. I know I made decisions that weren't the best. I was unhappy and I didn't know my power. I didn't know I was always supported, divinely supported, and I have the strength within me. And if I didn't feel like I did, there was a higher source that will always keep you protected and guided. That's my mantra. I'm guided, I'm protected, I'm guided. Whenever I fear
love
kicks
that.
in, yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like I'm just like repeat it. And it's like a soothing mechanism for me. We are human, and taking risks does involve fear. I know with me, like starting this whole journey, and there's a lot of other big transitions in my life, but I had to be brave enough to face it. You have to take courageous measures. If your soul is telling you, like, this is bothering me, and you don't do something about it, you are going to just be miserable. And you do have the ability, like you said, just write down those limited beliefs. What are the things stopping you? Is it the things that you were told as a kid, or is it the relationship? And like slowly make those action steps. But I loved what you said about asking yourself and journaling, taking notes.
journaling is really powerful. And then even too, like recognizing, like that was one of the biggest things for me. Like I recognized that I really needed support. I really needed help. I really needed somebody to believe in me. And that was one thing that I will never ever forget, that like I felt so supported through the people that have helped me along my healing journey, and having a coach as well. She never gave up on me. And that was the biggest thing. Like I felt like maybe one week I didn't show up and do my homework, or I didn't I didn't
Yeah.
do everything I was supposed to do, or whatever it was. I was like, oh, well, they're probably going to be mad at me, or not going to want to keep working with me. Or I think these
Yeah.
things, like I'm not going to be supported. And nope, right there with like, love and support, and let's talk about this. And
And no judgment, right? You
no,
felt like you
no
weren't judged by
judgment.
her.
Nope, not at all. Just all love and all like, I'm here for you. I want to support you. And so that's what I would love to do for other people, is
Yeah,
support them.
exactly. So if you're anyone listening, this is what she does.
I would love to connect with anyone. I'm mostly on Instagram, I'd say. But yeah, I love meeting new people and connecting. And if I could be of service and support, I'd love to see if it would be
Absolutely.
a good fit, or just make new friends. I love making new friends.
Okay, girl. So I've got some ending questions. The first one, what's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote. Okay, I'll do this one. This is a good one. I
Okay.
like a lot of different quotes,
Yeah.
but okay. Okay, so great question. One of my favorite quotes is, one important key to success is self-confidence. And another important key to self-confidence is preparation.
Ooh,
Yeah. And that's
that's
by
powerful.
Arthur Ashe.
Okay, that's powerful. I agree. Always be prepared. And confidence is key. Okay, what is your favorite book?
I like a lot of books. I'll name a few. I really like The Alchemist. I also really like The Untethered Soul. I read The Untethered Soul while I was still in Las Vegas, and it's a little bit of a deep read if you're uh, not so much spiritual, or trying to kind of like learn more about things. It has a lot to do with the ego and the subconscious, conscious, and the differences between it all. And it's just a really powerful book, and I highly recommend it. And another one, I'm naming a bunch, sorry.
No, I love it. No,
Another
because
one.
listeners love,
Oh,
that's why I love asking whoever comes on, because I love learning about different reads. So what's another one?
and then another one is You're a Badass by Jen Sincero.
Ooh.
I love that book because it's funny and it's easy to read, and there's humor, and she explains things really like easy for you to understand. That was a book I read early on too that really helped me in my mindset. So if anyone's feeling like they're just getting into things or want to learn more about how they can change their mindset, and they don't want something that's super serious or like in depth, that is a really great read.
What's the best advice you've ever gotten in your life so far?
The best advice I've ever gotten. It's a really great question. I feel like I've been given a lot of advice. Probably just to just not be afraid to be myself and to keep showing up authentically, right? I feel like a lot of people get scared to show up or show different sides of themselves or show the real them and stuff like that. And just be yourself. If you're goofy and you're funny, or you love your animals or love baking or whatever it is you like to do, don't be afraid to show up that way. You know what I mean? Just being yourself. Don't be afraid to fully embrace who you are.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Nicole Kaylene. For more information about this episode and other podcast episodes, you can visit www.hearttotalk.com. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe and tell all your friends. I'll be back in 2 weeks.